So, Harry, happy birthday.
Thank you, Elin.
This is your life. Well, it nearly is. Welcome to 7 decades of Harry Christophers. And it is a joy for me, as your singer, colleague, friend, to be able to dive back into these 7 decades and see what's made you the person you are, and then what's made the 16 the being that has been entertaining us for so long. So can we just start right back at the beginning? So 1953 up to 1963, where by the looks of things, music wasn't necessarily filling your life. So just take us back to the start.
Yes, this is scary. I was born in a pub.
Yeah.
In the middle of Kent, Wheel of Kent, Peacock Inn in Gowters. It's still there, and serves Shepherd Neame these days. And so the nearest I came to sort of music was basically with my mum playing the Christmas carols in the bar and the local farmers. So the clientele would just be the local farmers because, as I say, it was middle of nowhere, hop fields behind, and my dad was the landlord, and that was it really. My mum did play that. She played the piano pretty well actually, and I've got some old music albums of her in the loft. Beethoven sonatas and all sorts of things, all beautifully kept. Her surname at the top, Constance Clavering Thorpe. That's her maiden name.
And clearly they were supportive of you wanting to go on to sing. But who was it that spotted that lovely voice that got you further?
Well, again, I've no idea because we had to move from the pub to Canterbury, and I was approaching 9 years old, and my dad took over a sweet shop and tobacconist in Canterbury, and the decision was, where do we send Harry to school? And my mum had asked, obviously, somebody at my primary school in Goudhurst, and he had said, well, look, he's got a nice little voice, try for the choir school. So that was it. So I went for an audition at the choir school. I didn't know I could sing, and I couldn't really. But I remember the audition really well because we had to read a psalm, not musically read a psalm, but just verbally read the psalm. And I could read pretty well in those days, and so I got my mouth around all these difficult words, and I'm sure that's why I got into the choir school. But suddenly, I'd never been in a cathedral. The closest I'd come to a church was probably when I was baptised at Goudhurst Parish Church, and so to get to a cathedral and see this phenomenal space was just amazing.
And one of the pieces you've chosen is Britain from the Ceremony of Carols. Now, obviously, that's going to sneak into our next decade, but why do you think this resonates with you from your very earliest time, even sort of pre-singing? Why does this hold such memories?
Well, it was being a chorister at Canterbury and singing it in the chapter house. It was recorded by Radio 3. There was 36 choristers, we sang it, and we had this inspirational choir master called Alan Wicks. And Alan just sort of used to throw music at us as old music, new music, and he loved the music of Britain. And I think for any kid singing Britain Ceremony of Carols, it's just brilliant.
Do you know, I remember singing that in Welsh.
Yeah,
when I was at school, that was one of the things we learnt earlier than anything else. And I remember the harp, and obviously it being a Welsh harp, suddenly hearing it in that Britain mode was totally different. But it does stay with us, doesn't it? The other music you've chosen, I mean, there's so many pieces across these discs, but you've gone for Purcell. Now, Purcell keeps coming back through the many decades. What's so special about Purcell's music?
Well, again, it was Alan Wicks, and he loved Purcell. And I mean, remember years later him saying to me, he said, Harry, I knew Purcell was a good composer, but I didn't know why. And I think about that with Alan. Yes, he just got music, and he had this innate musicianship, and that's remained with me, whether it was, Thou Knowest, Lord, the Secrets of the Hearts, or Oh, Sing Unto the Lord. And that's the piece I do remember really well, because Alan brought in a string quartet. And we had a string quartet for the anthem. But it must have been a Sunday afternoon because it's quite a long piece. But it was great.
And so it all began.
Yeah.